All right, hello everyone. So today we have a student from the University of California, Berkeley. Her name is Nishita. And Nishita, can you go ahead and please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Nishita Bagaria. I just finished my freshman year at UC Berkeley, and I intend on majoring in cognitive science with a minor in data science.
All right, awesome. And so I guess, first and foremost, just talking about the major and minor combination that you mentioned, cognitive
Mhm.
science with data science. So why cognitive science and why data science?
All right, so I think in high school, one of my main dilemmas was figuring out what major and what I wanted to do with my life. Because, like, honestly, I had explored so many different paths that I was like completely torn on what I wanted to do. Like, there was points where I was like, I'm pre-law. There was points where I was like, I'm pre-med, and then I was like, I don't know what the heck I want to do. So, like, I think it came down ultimately to me like sitting down and just doing a bunch of research on different majors, and then when I came across CogSci, what really spoke to me was the fact that all of my different interests, whether it was psych, linguistics, CS, bio, anything like that, all of that was being combined under this one major. And that really attracted me because I was like, I'm not only gonna get to learn about one of my interests, I'm gonna get to learn about all of them. So that was kind of one of my main reasons as to why I chose cognitive science. And then when it came to data science, I think that's something I kind of tacked on after starting at Berkeley, because like I realized that I wanted to get more of a technical understanding when it comes to data, because like data has become like a part of everything we do nowadays, and I felt like I
Yeah.
needed some sort of basic understanding when it came to actually like doing anything in work or like in school later on. So that was like the main reason why I decided to add on that minor.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, and I really like how you mentioned, obviously the whole like multidisciplinary field of cognitive science. I think
Hmm.
it's not a major that many students know of, but if you're a person who's interested in like, humanities and STEM,
Hmm.
it's a great way to combine like everything in like a holistic, like kind of academic focus. So I think it's really great that you touched up on that. I guess, yeah, oh yeah, did you have something to mention? Or?
Oh yeah, like I honestly just wanted to mention, like I feel like when it comes to cognitive science, there's this like common misconception that if you are a cog sci major, that means you're pre-med or you're pre-grad school. And I get into so many heated debates with kids at Berkeley because of that. And like I think one thing I just want to emphasize about the major is that if you're interested in it, cognitive science honestly opens doors to like any field you want to go into. I can go into tech, I can go into law, I can go into med school, I can go to grad school. Like I literally can do anything I want, and that comes with the fact that it's so versatile. Like I can choose to specialize in different things. I can choose to explore different things outside of school to kind of like emphasize the fact that even though maybe my major may seem a bit more like technical or a bit more scientific, I can still do things related to business. So I think
Yeah, no,
yeah.
yeah, I definitely think that's true. No, I know a lot of cognitive science majors, at least at my school at USC, where
Mhm.
there's some that are pre-med, but I know a few that are pre-law, some of them who are planning to go into business or even technology companies with
Yeah.
their major. So I think, yeah, that pre-misconception that you have to do like pre-med or go into grad school or whatnot is
Mhm.
definitely fine. I mean, I would argue that's pretty much the same for almost any major. Like a major, just because you go into a major doesn't mean you have to be pre-med or you have to be pre-law or you
Exactly.
have to go, yeah, into a certain field like academia or a certain job. And majors are versatile, even though like we hear things on the internet or from friends. I think once you go into it and you actually explore it a lot more, you will see the practicalities of it. So yeah, I
Yeah,
really
for
thank
sure.
you for mentioning that. And I guess now let's talk a little bit more about Berkeley. So why Berkeley?
Oh, so my relationship with Berkeley throughout high school was kind of a love-hate relationship to say the least. So I remember I'd always known about Berkeley, like subconsciously, like obviously like growing up like 2 hours away from it, I was always aware of Berkeley's presence. And one of my best friend's older sister actually ended up going to Berkeley my sophomore year of high school. And so like in the back of my head, I was always like, oh, I really want to go to Berkeley. Like it's like that ideal school. But at the same time, like I think I was just too self-deprecating or something because like I was always like, I'm not gonna make it. So I kind of just like started shitting on the school, if that makes
Uh,
sense. Like I started hating on the school. I was like, it's not that great. It's super. Everyone's stressed out. There's no social life. Like the professors are mean. Everyone's super snaky. Like I kind of like let all these stereotypes about the school cloud my judgment when it came to actually like understanding if I was a fit for Berkeley or not. And honestly, as a waitlist kid, like I was waitlisted, and then I was like, that gave me even more of a reason to like not care. Like me even applying to be on the waitlist was because of my parents pushing me to do it. So I feel like ultimately, what caused me really to like kind of realize the fact that I actually did like Berkeley or actually wanted to go to Berkeley was the fact that I visited the school again after I got off the wait list. So for me, even though I'd seen Berkeley already or I'd been to Berkeley in the past, visiting it, having gotten accepted, completely changed my perspective of the school because it no longer felt like something that was unattainable. It felt like something that I actually like, I can actually be here if I choose to. So I think having that mindset or like being like, okay, yeah, I actually have a place here allowed me to like see the school in more of a positive perspective and a positive light. And it honestly converted me completely. Cause like after going to Berkeley, especially, I realized like had I not taken the opportunity and had I not like actually gone to school and realized I want to go here, I probably would have ended up regretting it like a lot because I fell in love with the school and I fell in love with the people that I met at the school. So yeah, that's kind of a long story, but yeah, that's how I ended up at
No,
Berkeley.
no, I mean it's great. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of different approaches to why we end up choosing the colleges that you mentioned, and I think I actually relate to you on the fact when you mentioned getting accepted into a school and then visiting after you've gotten accepted versus before. Like for me, I've seen USC plenty of times in the past,
Mhm.
and at the time I was just like, oh, it's a school, it's a great school. I don't know if I can get
Yeah,
it, but it's a school. And
yeah,
once you get it, I'm like, okay, wow, there's like so many new things I didn't know about it that is actually open to so many opportunities, and I really like that.
yeah,
You mentioned that because there is a different change of factor. Like you know hearing about it and seeing it from afar, I think is a lot different than actually getting to be a part of it. So it's something to take in consideration. And it's actually what I wanted to follow up on. I asked a lot of, your fellow Berkeley peers kind of something similar to this question. And you actually touched up on it, where you mentioned that there have been a lot of stereotypes or, a bit of negativity around the kind of image of Berkeley. It's known to be one of probably the best schools one of the best schools in the nation, and for being a public school in California too.
mhm.
At the same time, a lot of students worry about the stress, the hardcore academics, the competitive environment, the location of Berkeley. And I guess if you wanted to touch up on some of the stereotypes, realistically, in your opinion, do you think some of those things are true, or do you want to debunk some of those opinions just from your perspective?
All right, okay. So from my perspective, Berkeley is as stressful as you make it to be.
Hmm.
So if you are the type of student that is going to stress the heck out about grades. Like, even in college, you're going to be like, I need an A in the class. I need that 4.0 GPA. Berkeley is going to be hell. It's going to be stressful because the classes, some are easy, yes, but especially if you're a STEM student and you're taking those science classes like bio, chem, physics, you're
Yeah.
going to have a really hard time. And because you're going to have to accept the fact that you're not always going to get A's. And that is true about Berkeley. Like the GPA deflation, classes being hard, yes, that's true. But I think it's inflated to a degree that makes it seem like it's absolutely impossible. And that I don't think is true. Like in your classes, you will have your teachers will give you resources to get help if you need it. There's tutors, there's GSIs that you can go to, which are grad student instructors. Even professors have office hours. And it's really up to the student on taking advantage of those opportunities. And that's again why I say Berkeley is as stressful as you make it. If you choose to take advantage of the opportunities that you're given, then you're probably not going to be as stressed. But if you choose to like be aware of the fact that maybe I'm not doing as well in the class, but then you're not taking advantage of the office hours or of the tutors that are available to you, then obviously Berkeley is going to be really stressful. And so I think that that aspect of Berkeley is it seems like it's unique to Berkeley, but I feel like it's something that's realistic in all universities you go to. Like no matter what college you go to, you're not going to escape the stress that comes from grades. You're not going to escape the stress that comes from classes and having hard classes. It really comes down to the person and whether they're willing to go and reach out for the help they need or not. And then aside from that, Berkeley has stereotypes where it's like all the students that go to Berkeley are insanely smart. Everyone's out to like everyone's super snaky and is just out to get one another. Like no, there's like no sense of community. And that I want to completely like debunk. Like, okay, yes, people are really smart, but for the most part, as long as you're respectful, I haven't met anyone that would go out of their way to be disrespectful to me or to actually teach me something wrong so that my grade would like be lower than theirs. Like I haven't personally met anyone that's snaky and everyone's always been super kind and super welcoming. But obviously it depends on the major you're in. It depends on the people you choose to surround yourself with. Like I was very fortunate to where the dorm floor I lived on ended up having all of my best friends and like I still am super close with them. But I know people that went through the opposite, where their roommates turned out to be horrible. They hated the people on their floor. So that's not something that I feel like people tend to associate that hate of the people that they live with or they were surrounded with initially with the whole school in general. And I really hate that because I feel like it ruined Berkeley's reputation. And while there is that group of people that maybe, yeah, they're a little bit rude, they're snaky or whatever, that's true of any college. Like, I don't think that's unique to Berkeley. Like, had I gone to UC Irvine, which is my first choice, I I don't think I could have escaped that crowd. I still think that would have been there to a certain degree. So I hate the fact that anytime someone mentions UC Berkeley, it's like tacked on. Like that's not something that should be tacked on because it's universal to all colleges.
Yeah, and I'm glad you obviously got gave your honest opinion on it because a lot of students that are thinking of applying to the UC system, Berkeley, I would say is definitely a top choice because of how prestigious it is in its academics, its research
Mhm.
abilities, and just its academic prowess in general. But yeah, like we mentioned, because there are just those minute factors that, like have you said, have been kind of inflated to a little too much that people start attacking it or just giving that image of Berkeley that's just kind of like a snaky school or like a super depressing hard college.
Yeah.
I think
I,
yeah, it takes someone who's actually been there. And did you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, like honestly, I feel like another thing about Berkeley is that people tend to think that kids at Berkeley have no social life, and it is like the exact opposite of that. Like, I promise you, if you want to be social, you will have a social life. Like, I'm a super social person, so like if you're into the party scene, there's plenty of parties for you to go to. If you're into just like kickbacks, there's plenty of those you can go to. There's so many clubs where you can just socialize and meet different people through. And there's like, I don't know, there's just like I think one of the benefits or charms of going to a UC school in general is the fact that there's 36,000 kids on campus. Like you can spend hours walking on campus and not see a single person
Mhm.
that you've met on campus. Even if you feel like you've met like 3,000 kids, you won't know anyone. So
Yeah.
I think that's like kind of a unique charm. To some, it can be stressful, but I kind of like that because I feel like I'm constantly meeting new people and like learning about different personalities. So I definitely don't think Berkeley is socially dead.
Mhm.
There's a huge social life for you if you want it. So that's like one thing I wanted to point out. And like another thing is the area. So I think one common misconception about Berkeley is like the homeless population and like safety. And that is a genuine concern. And I 100% agree with that concern. But I think what people aren't realizing is why it's like that. People will go to like Stanford, for example, and they'll see this like really nice, really clean campus where you literally will not see a single homeless person. And then they come to Berkeley and there's homeless people literally everywhere. And
Yeah.
the reason for that is when Berkeley was built, the city was literally built with it. So Berkeley and the city are literally one. Like it's like
Yeah.
connected. Like there's not like this is campus and this is Berkeley. Like it's
Mhm.
one. Like it's like the campus and the city are together. And I think that part, like students have to kind of accept that kind of charm and they have to be aware that there's certain safety precautions that you have to take when you're walking outside of campus, especially at night, and especially if you're female. Like I know I hate female stereotypes, I hate male stereotypes, but when it comes to your safety, you kind of have to give into the fact that if you are a female and you are walking with one of your male friends, you are exponentially safer than if you're walking alone at night, which is
Mhm.
the reason why I have pepper spray with me at all times. I always walk with one of my friends if I'm going out late at night and I make sure that I'm in a safe environment because yes, there can be people that can approach you in ways that will make you feel uncomfortable. But I don't think that is a reason for you not to go to Berkeley because the school itself, like when you're inside the campus, you're in the classes or you're in the dorms, they have a very safe environment and they have really good security to make sure that you stay safe. It's just up to the student of whether when they're going outside of campus alone, are they taking the right safety precautions? So I think that's just something that students have to be aware of as well about Berkeley.
Yeah, no, I mean that was great. I mean, I like how you covered like pretty much everything and the concerns that a lot of that's been associated with Berkeley, especially mentioning for you at least how you mentioned pretty much college is what you make of it. Like if you want it, if you're
Yeah.
gonna make it, it's gonna if you think it's gonna be hard, then you're gonna make it hard. If you think it's gonna
Yeah.
be enjoyable and fun and like, you challenging where you can push yourself, then yeah, it'll be that environment. And I also like how you mentioned that you know there are gonna be safety issues that are true. Like being at USC for me, I know safety was also a big concern for students because it's in the heart of LA and
Hmm.
we worry about the homeless population or also crime as well too. And like you mentioned, even though the whole woman stereotyping is a whole political issue in itself, there
Hmm.
are some issues that we do have to be aware of. We have to be realistic to some extent. But I'm glad that you're
Hmm.
able to at least, honestly talk about that. And I think it would be great. It kind of gives a new, fresh mindset for those students interested in applying to Berkeley to understand that you're gonna be okay. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that was great. And I guess for a second, let's take a step back away from Berkeley and actually go back to about a year or so to back when we were seniors in high school, applying to college. So I guess for you first, how would you summarize your entire college application process?
I would say stressful and self-deprecating. I probably I was so, oh my god, I was such a Debbie Downer. I was like the definition of a Debbie Downer. My parents would like yell at me. They'd be like, "Bro, are you kidding me? You're fine." But like, um, honestly, okay, applying to college is gonna be stressful no matter how little you think of it. Even if you're just applying to see a community college, it's still stressful because like most kids that are applying to community college want to transfer later on, so they're still thinking about that. So
Hmm.
I think for me personally, what it came down to was like I was really fortunate where my parents helped me a lot through the process. Like even though both of my parents are from India, so they haven't actually gone through the US school system at all. It took a lot of research on all of our parts and we like all sat down and we did a heck ton of research on literally like the billions of colleges that exist all throughout America, all throughout the world. And it took so long in like first figuring out what I wanted to major in, then figuring out how cognitive science translates to all the different universities because cognitive science is unique where the same program is called like 50 different things. So you can't just look up cognitive science and find a distinct list of oh these are the best colleges. Like there's so many different programs that are essentially the same thing and that rank really well or that are known as really good programs that are often overlooked because they don't have the same name. So it took a lot of research on my part, on my family's part, before we were able to actually like condense down a list of colleges. And I think that process is so stressful because like not only are you trying to figure out like what your major is, you're trying to figure out what colleges are the right fit for you and what aren't. And at the same time, you're trying to make sure that when you say, oh, this college isn't for me, you aren't like shutting out a really good opportunity that you could have taken advantage of had you applied. So I think there's a lot of stuff surrounding college that season that was also really stressful because like you come to a point where you feel like I've done so much, but what have I done that's unique compared to the 50 other students that have done like the exact same thing? And I
Yeah.
think that part is really scary as well. Like even when you're writing the college app essays, you're like, ugh, this is not unique. Like I'm pretty sure 10 other kids wrote the same exact essay as me. And I think it really came down to like accepting the fact that okay, maybe the stuff I did doesn't look that amazing in comparison to the kids I'm always surrounded by. But if I took a step out and I went to another school, maybe the stuff I did is actually really impressive. And maybe the way I'm portraying it is completely different than what another person may have experienced. So I think there's a lot of like self-deprecating and accepting and then understanding and realizing. And honestly, I feel like the quicker you can get through that process of like get over that self-deprecating stage and get to the like point of accepting, the easier your like whole transition and like process of
Mhm.
applying to college will be.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I mean, yeah, I mean, first and foremost, stressful. I mean, everyone would say it's stressful to some extent. Like, you're applying to something that, many would argue determines pretty much how your life is going to unfold from here on out, what you're going to study, what you're going to graduate with, what job you go into, the friends you make. So it's a huge impact. There's a lot of extrinsic stress factors that play a role into it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like you mentioned, it can be deprecating. Like, you're always constantly comparing yourself and you're saying like, oh, okay, I don't have the same GPA as this kid, or I'm in the same
Yeah.
program as this kid, but what makes me stand out different? And I mean, obviously that's why we do this entire project because we show that everyone is different. Even though you may think that you are the same as someone else, in all due honesty, you probably aren't because you have more personal factors, more personal stories that you can tell that that other person might not have. Like you can both be in the debate team, probably doing even the same debate category. But if you had a story with one event, that kid is not going to have that same story that you probably learned.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think it was really great for you to mention that because yeah, it feels like it'll be self-deprecating and it makes it so much harder to motivate ourselves or to believe and have the confidence to continue on. But I think like you said, accepting that and also realizing that, I really truthfully can't be compared to another student because that student is not me is important
Hmm.
to realize in this process. And yeah,
Yeah.
since I think since you actually covered a really good portion of your entire
Hmm.
process, I guess I would just kind of summarize this section by asking you, if you could have changed anything, and if you could go back and redo this entire process, what would you have changed?
Like applying to colleges and choosing colleges?
Yeah, I mean, it can be applying to colleges or even choosing your college. Like, what would you have changed about it?
Honestly, honestly, okay, this is so cheesy, but like I honestly probably wouldn't want to change anything because I feel like
Mhm.
I honestly don't have regrets when it came to the school I ended up choosing or ended up going to. And I'm honestly really thankful of the fact that even though I didn't get into Berkeley off the bat and I was waitlisted, I'm thankful for the fact that my family were able to like give me that little push to kind of go see the college again and like really like change my perspective and like finally accept that I wanted to go to Berkeley because I feel like everyone has this like sentiment towards their college to a certain extent, but it's like I honestly feel like had I gone to any other college, I would have regretted it big time. Like I feel like at Berkeley, I've just found that spot for me, and it's something I'm eternally grateful for. So because of that, I don't know if I really want to change anything because I feel like that whole growth process that you go through when you're applying to colleges, that self-realization process of like really understanding what type of person you are, who you are, what you like and what you don't like, I feel like is so important that even if there were steps I could have taken to make it maybe less stressful, like maybe I could have started a little earlier, or maybe I could have like not been as self-deprecating. I feel like all of that stuff played a factor in making me who I am right now and like in giving me the mentality I have right now. So I honestly don't think I would change anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love that response. Honestly, I think personally of all the videos I do, and all the questions I ask, I truthfully think this is the hardest one I ask, mainly because, not only are you reflecting on your past, but it's true. Like, would you change anything? It's kind of like the whole butterfly effect. If I changed this, then this would have
Yeah.
happened. But yeah, I think, it's definitely true what you mentioned. It's a growth process. It's something that everyone has to go, if you're a person interested in higher education, it's something that you're going to have to go through with everyone else. You're going to learn a
Mhm.
lot more about yourself, other people, colleges especially. You're going to learn a lot about them. But um,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's like you mentioned, you know, there's not much we can really change or we can reflect back. It is what it is. Things happen for a
Mhm.
reason. So yeah, I think definitely think it was a good, I guess viewpoint on your end, saying that you wouldn't change anything because things happen, and obviously you don't regret anything, and it seems like you're obviously enjoying Berkeley. So I wouldn't say that it's something that you regret and you have to completely do it like a whole 180 around.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but yeah, that's
I
awesome.
on I honestly think like when it comes to if I were in this position and like thinking about my year at Berkeley, like if I was with a different crowd of people, I honestly could see like maybe I would hate Berkeley. Like I'd absolutely despise it. And maybe I'd be sitting here right now with you and be saying if I could change one thing, I would go to UC Irvine instead of Berkeley. Like maybe I could have said that. Like it could have been
Yeah.
that bad. But I feel like for the most part, it will work out. Like I know as a
Mhm.
high school senior after graduating, I was terrified out of my mind. I was like, I can't do this. How am I supposed to adult? This is not happening. Like I remember the day
Uh,
my parents dropped me off. I literally started sobbing, like ugly cries. Like I was like, I can't do this. But it'll work out. Like it's fine. I feel like even if okay, let's say you go to college and even if you feel like, okay, this isn't the college for me, you still have that option to transfer. It's not
yeah.
the end of the world. Like maybe you'll waste a year, maybe you'll feel like shit for 1 year, but it's okay. You can transfer after that. Like I have friends that went to Davis and that are transferring to Berkeley now because they didn't like Davis. It wasn't their scene. So like it really depends on who you are as a person and like even if you go through hurdles along the way and even if you end up hating the college you're at, it's okay. You can take steps to change it and you can take steps to like make sure you end up in the right place. So like to anyone that watches this video, I just want to say like don't stress out even if you make the wrong decision. Like it's okay. Like just because I'm saying I absolutely love Berkeley doesn't necessarily mean you will, and that's okay. So
Yeah, no, that's good. As Bob Ross says, happy little accidents. Things happen
yeah,
even if it doesn't turn
yeah.
out your way. So yeah, no, it's good. And I think, I just to touch up more on actually Berkeley itself, probably second to last question I'll ask you. Um, Extracurriculars, obviously, participating in those things are huge in college. So I guess if you just want to mention maybe one or two extracurriculars you're participating in and what you're doing specifically in those programs.
Okay, so before I get into my extracurricular specifically,
Mhm.
I just wanted to mention another stereotype about Berkeley, and that is that extracurriculars or clubs are extremely hard to get into. And that's because of like the sheer number of students. And to a certain degree, it's true, but it depends on the type of clubs you're applying to. So for example, I am in a consulting club on campus, which is called ABA. It's actually Berkeley's oldest business organization.
Oh wow.
And to get into any consulting club, we have to go through extensive application processes. So for example, of some of the ones that I applied to, I had to first do a written application, which consisted of like a few short essay questions, which is like normally like 200 words. So it's almost like college apps again. So like I was using my UC essays, like stuff like that. And then if you pass that, then after that, you go to, at least for ABA, it was like I had to do a group interview. So then they did a group case interview with me. And then if I passed that, then I had a social night where I met the people in the club. And then if I passed that, then I had individual interviews. And I had 3 individual interviews before I actually was accepted into the club. So like, yeah, that's a super stressful process. And the acceptance rate for consulting clubs is really low. Like it's really hard to get into it. But I think one thing that I realized throughout the process is like, it's as hard as you make it to be. I've said this about everything, but it's like, it's really true. Cause like, honestly, I remember when I applied, I was like, there's no way I'm getting into this club. Like I have 0 experience with business. I have 0 experience with consulting. So I was like, how the heck am I supposed to get into this club? And I remember like this, when I told my friends I got accepted, they're like, oh my God, you have to study this, you have to study that, you have to do all this stuff for the interview. And I remember doing absolutely nothing. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna be myself. I don't know technical terms, it's fine. I'll just rant, I'll just say something. And honestly, I think one thing I realized is like, especially when I was applying to ABA, it was that they value a person and their growth, their ability to grow more than they do the skills you already have. Like had I gone into that interview and like said a bunch of different technical terms and like basically acted like I was an expert, I don't think I would have gotten in, because the whole point of clubs on campus is to take an individual and help them grow and help them learn. So if you're showing them that I already know everything, they have no inclination to take you because you already know everything. Like what are they going to teach you? So I think as stressful as it can be applying to these clubs or getting into these clubs, if you just show a genuine character, as long as you vibe with the club that you're applying to, then it will happen. You will get in. It may take a few tries, but you will get in. Like for me, I applied to ABA first semester. I got rejected right off the bat. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll try again next time. Then I tried again the next semester, and I actually really connected with one of the people in the club, which is why I'm pretty sure I'm in the club right now. So it really depends on like the connections you make. And like, even though it's hard to get into a club, as long as you're honest, you're true to yourself, like you will get in. And it's not true universally to all the clubs at Berkeley. Like for example, I was in this other club called ULab, which is called the undergraduate lab at Berkeley. And so this is just a program to take students and help them develop some of the skills that they would need if they want to do research on campus. And honestly, for me, it just helped me realize that even though I really like doing things like science fair in high school, research was not for me. Like it just helped me realize that I was like, I don't have them like this. Like this is just not for me. But like through that, like it definitely taught me a lot. Like I worked on a replication paper, which is essentially me and a group of students took a existing psych paper, and we basically tried to replicate the data analysis and see if we got the same results using their data. And so obviously I learned a lot through that process, but I realized that I didn't like research. And that's honestly, I feel like that's true to a lot of kids that explore all the different clubs at Berkeley. Like a lot of kids will join like consulting clubs like ABA, and they'll realize I hate this. And so after that semester, they're gone. And that's totally okay. So I feel like to anyone that is worried about extracurriculars at Berkeley, there is so many clubs on campus that you will find one. You will find at least one that fits you. Like I can promise you that. And like no matter how stressful or how scary it may seem to apply to clubs, as long as you show a genuine interest and you show a genuine passion, they have no reason to not take you. Maybe it'll take a couple tries, but that's okay. And I feel like people get too scared or too stressed out about the fact that they have to get in on the first try. And I know maybe at Berkeley it's hard to get into clubs than it would be had I gone to a different school, but it's okay because you still will learn a lot through the application process, even if you don't get in. So I feel like people can get discouraged, but they shouldn't, because once you get in, like the amount of happiness you have, first off, you feel like you actually like you earned that spot. Like you don't feel like they just let you in, like it was an easy club, they just take everyone. Like you felt like you actually worked hard and you actually like put like the best of yourself forward, and that's why you got into the club. So I feel like there are its charms and there are like parts that suck. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, there are so many extracurriculars that you're guaranteed to find something that fits you.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, that's that was perfect. That was like a really great overview of everything. I completely neglected that part. I mentioned it. I think yeah, some people think that extracurriculars are hard to get into, and I wouldn't say maybe just at Berkeley. There are some clubs in other schools, like for example, USC being very known for business, probably has a bit of competition in their business sector as well too. But yeah, it's like you mentioned, they're looking for people who are willing to grow and learn, and whether that be for a club that's more of like academic or professional compared to like I don't know maybe like archery club or something like for in that regard, yeah, they're looking for you to grow. And I would argue it's the same with college apps in general. Like colleges, if you're perfect, why would they take the perfect student? Because why would you bother going to your school? They
Exactly.
have no reason to invest in you anyways. But if you're a student who can demonstrate that you have like I guess to some sense a structural foundation, and then that you can continue to grow from that foundation, I would say, yeah, that's where the important part comes from. So yeah, I think that was, really great summary for, I guess, your experience in the process of how it worked at Berkeley. And I guess just to wrap up the entire video, and you can speak on anything reiterate anything you mentioned in this video or something else that you might have in mind. But if you could give advice to high school students, whether that be about college application, the college lifestyle, or just life in general, what would you tell them?
Okay. I think if I were talking to my high school self, I
Mm,
think the one thing I would tell myself is I literally said a billion times in this video, but college is as stressful as you make it to be. And like I genuinely mean this to every degree, whether it's extracurriculars, it's applying to colleges, getting into colleges, choosing which one you want to do, making friends, like classes, grades, everything, like the job you're going to get in the future, everything. It's as stressful as you make it. If you choose to, rather than focusing on like the letter grade or focusing on pleasing other people, and you just focus on what you truly want and what you truly are interested in, and you focus on just doing the best that you can, there is no reason for you to hate the college that you go to. Like literally none. No matter what college you go to, if you follow your passions and you're just true to yourself and you know that, okay, I'm doing the best in everything I'm doing. It's okay if I don't get that A plus. It's okay if I get a B or a C instead. And because I know I put in every single ounce of effort I could have put in, then it's okay. You don't need to stress out about it. Like, I know kids are always like, I need to get a certain GPA so I can get a job. I need to get a certain GPA so I can get to med school, so I can get to grad school. And like, yeah, GPA is important. I get that. But you don't need to kill yourself over it. Like, it's okay.
mhm,
Enjoy college. You only have it for like the 3 or 4 years that you're in it. So don't make it something that's stressful and not enjoyable. Cause like there's so many people around you. There's so much stuff to take advantage of that there's no point in stressing yourself out and missing out on that because that's something you're going to regret later. So college is as stressful as you're going to make it to be. Try not to make it stressful. That would be my advice.
That's awesome. No, I really love that advice. I think it's true. Like we mentioned, it's what you make of it. You can go to a school that's known to be really hard. You can go to a school that's known to be not as social, but like it's what you like. You can make it social. You can make your own personal experience social. You can make the experience not as difficult or stressful as others make it out to be. It's just a matter of how much you're willing to put in your own individual work into it, or yeah, I just what's your own personal drive. If you believe you're a social person and you end up going to an antisocial school, then be that reason why it's going to be more of a social school. So yeah, no, I definitely think that was great advice. And I mean, obviously, just in general, we want to thank you, Nishita, for coming out to give this video. We definitely appreciate you not only just touching up on your personal experiences, but also kind of debunking or giving your opinions on a lot of stereotypes that Berkeley is common to be associated with. So yeah, I mean, and obviously for everyone watching this, we hope that you get a lot of information and value from this. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.